Hey folks, welcome to the Do-It-Yourself-Dad channel. Growing up, we had these grand visions of the future and technology. We were going to have robot police officers that were going to solve all of our problems, so we wound up with this. And then we were promised robot maids that would clean our house and make our lives so much easier, and we got this. But I'm kind of a nerd for robots, and I'm going to show you kind of what I've got right here. I've got one in here next to the cat food to suck up all the cat food and cat litter. One plugged in ready to go underneath my entertainment center to get the living room. And this one in my garage, which is a project for another day and maybe another video. So if you're into this kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button because I'm going to have some of these robot videos and DIY and all sorts of stuff coming your way. But today, let's talk about the Wyze Vacuum. So this is it, the Wyze robot. Now what Wyze is pretty well known for doing is they take other companies' hardware and they kind of write their own software for it and put it out. And they've done a pretty good job with some of their stuff, other things not so much, so it's been kind of hit and miss, but we're gonna be checking this thing out. Now Roomba started the game with robotic vacuums years ago, and when they first started they were just kind of bump and go, and you had no guarantees where it was gonna go. This thing has that little disc on the top. That's got LiDAR in it. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but this thing should be able to navigate its way around your house and do a really thorough job cleaning, which is pretty awesome. So let's get into it. Let's get it set up and get it mowing around the house. Now at the end of the video, we're gonna put it through its paces and we're gonna put some stuff out on the floor, make a little obstacle course for it and make it kind of run over some cords and all sorts of other stuff and kind of torture it and see how it does. So stay tuned to the end. Now, if you're planning on ordering one of these, I would recommend if they're available on Amazon to go through Amazon. The shipping is a lot faster. You get in a day or two and the shipping is free, or they charge you a few bucks through Wyze, and returns are going to be easier too, just in case, because I have had some problems with other Wyze stuff taking a long time to show up if I've ordered it straight from Wyze. But the other day we were out in the middle of the desert, this thing showed up on my doorstep, and here we are. So let's get inside the box. I've seen this before. Now we don't do unboxing videos, we do something a little bit different. So right off the bat, let me show you what comes in the box. You've got your vacuum itself, the base station that it charges itself from, the power adapter, two of these little brush guides that go on the underside of it, a filter, it's an air filter there, and your quick start guides. Now the setup of this thing should be pretty similar to all your other Wyze devices. You're gonna do it through the app, but first we're gonna follow the instructions. The first thing we are supposed to do is flip it over and install the little brush here. So the little brush just clips onto this little post right here, and when that does, it spins and it gets any debris that's along walls and in crevices and sucks it into the brush here. So that is the first thing to do. The second thing to do is get this thing on the charger. So let's get the charger hooked up and get it charging. Now in setting up the charger, this is something I noticed I really do like about this one, and none of my other vacuums have this, is it plugs into the bottom instead of the back, and then it has these little prongs here, so any excess cord you can wrap up inside the base and then snap the back in place here. So that way any cord is inside there instead of having this big raveled up mess on the floor elsewhere. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna charge it right here in the middle of the floor, but normally you would charge this thing up against the wall where you're planning on running it.
Turning on.
So if you just heard that it says turning on, the light's turning amber, which means it is now charging. Now normally you would wait till it was completely charged to start setting it up, but we're just gonna set it up right now for the video, and you're gonna set it up in the Wyze app on your phone. If you haven't already downloaded this app, go into the App Store, download it for Android or Apple, set up an account. If you already have one, you're good to go. So let's get in here and we're gonna hit that little add device up here and get going. So we'll start by selecting what device we're gonna add, which is the Wyze Robot Vacuum. And we're gonna press and hold both buttons down.
Wi-Fi connection has been reset. Awaiting network connection.
Put in our network password. And now we're going to connect to the robot through the robot's Wi-Fi. So now we're going to name our robot, we're going to name it Rosie. And our setup is all complete. We're just going for the thing to charge, and then we're going to start the process of it mapping the house. Okay, so we've set up the base station here in the corner. She's already off cleaning, and it's already mapping the house. You can check that out. It's already got a map of the kitchen, or at least a part of the living room. And you can see it's not just mapping the area that it's cleaned, it's mapping the area around it and figuring out where all the different pathways are. So we come in here, we can see it's going underneath the dishwasher right there, coming up on the stove. And you can see the layout of the kitchen there. So we're going to let it run around the house. Now for the first run here, you'll notice I've taken the chairs and put them up. It's what I would normally do with my other vacuums. I'm going to let it map the house with the chairs up so it gets a good clear view of the ground. And then we're going to put the chairs down, throw some dirt in front of it, maybe some Cheerios, some hair ties, iPhone cables, and see how well this thing does with the normal obstacles it would be finding going around your house. So let's check back on it in a few minutes. So I wanted to show you this. This is what it's doing with my table legs. Now my other robots that I've had are bump and go. They would bump into a table leg, turn around and just head the opposite direction. This one is actually doing a really cool job going around that table leg. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when we put all the chairs down, if it winds up doing that with every single chair leg, because that's always been an issue with these things, is they either get stuck under your table or they never make it under your table. And generally, like dining room tables is where most of the crumbs and stuff is. So far, pretty impressed. Pretty cool. So now that it's run the house, let's pop the thing open and see what the bin's got in it. Now, if this is anything like my other vacuums, I'm always completely grossed out by the amount of stuff that comes off my floor, even though I think it's clean. Another thing to note, which is I think really cool here, it's got this thing right here. This is the little brush cleaning tool, and it has the little blade here to clean hair and gunk off of your blade. Most of the other ones come with these, but this comes with a place to store it. All the other ones I gotta remember where the heck I put it, and I lose it, so it's nice that it's here. So let's get the bin open. And it looks like,
Bin removed.
looks like there is a lot of stuff in there. Let's bring it over to the trash and see what we got. It looks like the joys of having a pet. Look at that. That's a lot of cat fur and a lot of cat litter and dust and other stuff just from one run. So we're gonna close it back up. You can also clean out the HEPA filter right here. We're not gonna do it right now, but you can clean that out as well. It comes with an extra and it comes with extra brushes. So let's get this thing back in the vacuum. And putting it back in the vacuum is pretty simple. Just pop it back in there in place. Make sure it snaps.
Dustbin installed.
It tells you put it back in, and we close it up. So now we can put it back on the dock here.
Starting to charge.
And it's time to have some fun. And by fun, I mean we're gonna be setting up an obstacle course. We're gonna be putting things like shoes on the floor. Say your teenager left their iPhone cable on the floor. We're gonna put all the stuff on the floor that you would normally have problems with your vacuum running over, sucking up, or getting stuck behind, and we'll see how it does. Other things we'll include are cat toys. How about a cat food bowl? Shh, don't tell my wife about this one. Cereal. Since this is a Do-It-Yourself Dad channel, we wouldn't be complete without putting maybe a screwdriver and some zip ties on the floor. And then for good measure, the vacuum that it replaces is gonna have to sit here and watch everything go down. And because we like robots, it's gonna have to go right by this guy too. So let's see how it does with kind of a more realistic test with stuff on the floor. For this test, we're also gonna leave all of our chairs down around the dining room table, all of our chairs down around the kitchen table, and we've also got our carpet out here. Okay, now to start our challenge, we are gonna be using another feature in here, which is you can select which rooms you want it to clean. Now this thing does need a little bit of work on the editor. I'm hoping this will come out in a update. You'll see here it's broken up some of my rooms into smaller rooms depending on furniture, but we're gonna have it clean the dining room right now, so that's this one. And we're gonna hit clean.
Starting area cleaning.
So it looks like Rosie's starting right off going over to the chairs, and you can see she's going right around each chair leg. She's not wide enough to get between them, but let's see how well she does getting around them and getting as close to underneath them as her size allows. And Rosie, it looks like she's doing a kind of a perimeter going around the outside first, so she's going to hit that bowl in just a second. Looks like she's just going to push it out of the way. Didn't go around it, so she didn't see it. And that right there is the edge of the room that we selected. She could go down this hallway if we had the entire house selected, but she's going to continue in the dining room. And she's gotten to the hero robot, which wasn't on the initial map that she did of the house, but she's going around it. And looks like she didn't even touch the side of it at all. I'm guessing the reason why she hit the bowl was because the bowl was underneath the height of her LiDAR, that little thing on top. She's now going underneath the couch. Looks like the old vacuum is looking a little intimidated. She's working her way around that edge. We're going to come to that carpet in just a second. And that carpet's got probably a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of a lift to it, so we'll see how it does getting up over that carpet. And yeah, it looks like she just went right over, no problems. So now that she's done doing the perimeter of the room, she's starting to break the room up into a grid. And it is pretty nice to actually do a grid so they don't miss places. Some of the other robots just kind of bump and goat around and missed a lot of spots. This one does not do that. It makes this nice grid pattern. And I'll show you that in a carpet in one of our rooms in just a second. But it looks like on this pass here, she's going to hit and she's going to go right over the screwdriver. Doesn't seem to realize she's got that thing. I don't know, maybe she did. She went in a circle there and managed to lose it. Maybe she did realize she had that screwdriver caught up underneath her. She's now correcting her path. You can see in the meantime, she pretty much got all of the crumbs that were on the floor, and she's getting those last little bit now. I don't really see anything left on the floor. That one, whoop, there it goes, that last little bit. And she's back over to the table again. It's a little dark underneath here, but these table legs are wide enough in some of the places that she can fit between them. And she's doing a pretty good job navigating through them and getting all the stuff out from underneath the table. Whoop. We're into the zip ties now. Looks like she moved one, but didn't get caught up on it. It's trying to eat all the zip ties now. We'll see if it figures out something's underneath it. Right now it just seems to want to keep going. We lost one of them over here. Still trying to eat two of them. Looks like we've picked up that cable now. I'm gonna drag that thing around there too. Doesn't seem to be slowing it down at all. Her current count is 2 zip ties, maybe 3, and a cable. And we're coming up on a shoe. So we're working our way around the shoe. Pushing the shoe around, I guess. So now with the cleaning complete, it's gonna head back to its base station. From my count, oh, looks like it picked up a cat toy on the way. It's dumping the cat toy. By my count, it's got one zip tie caught up underneath it, and it's still dragging that tail of a charging cable. We'll let it attempt to dock with all this stuff, and then we'll flip it over and see if anything's bound up in its wheels.
Starting to charge.
All right, let's flip it over and see what's going on underneath. All right, so it looks like it managed to eat that cable, zip tie, we're missing a zip tie. Don't see a zip tie in there. I don't see a zip tie in there.
Has been removed.
So I'm guessing it dropped one of the zip ties, but it did suck these up and it didn't know it was dragging these around. I've had other ones that get caught up and stuff. This thing at least didn't get caught up, but it did drag these around. So you don't want to leave stuff like this on the ground. That beating in the blade in there would probably destroy an iPhone cable if it was in there long enough. So with that, let's show you the next thing. All right, so I had mentioned those grid lines in the carpet. I'm gonna show you that in just a sec, but right now I'm gonna show you a feature I think is pretty cool. So we can go back into the map here and we can select a room. Now right here I can select room 11, which happens to be my preteen daughter's room. So you can annoy your kids from work.
Starting area cleaning.
Dad, what the heck?
So Rosie just finished cleaning my daughter's room. You can see her feet right over there, but you can see the grid lines right over here. And Rosie did a real good job, just like mowing a lawn, nice grid lines here. So she came down here on her own, vacuumed just this room, and then just headed back down there and is back on the base station charging. All right, so in the end, what do I think of this little vacuum? In the end, I actually really like it. This thing is a lot better than any of the other vacuums I've used. I think that LiDAR thing up there is really what is making the big difference on it. It really makes its way around the house really well. It cleans everywhere with that grid pattern that it does, and it doesn't miss anything after it's mapped the house. Now, I have seen on some of the forums, some people have had some trouble with the mapping and having issues with like glass windows and stuff like that. So it may take more than one try to get a good map of your house. And the other thing is I think the software in the app needs a little bit of work. It needs a room editing feature, but I just got this thing. This thing just hit the market and updates are on their way. And I've heard actually some updates are coming out real soon. So that should fix some of those little issues. But on the whole, I think this thing's great. And for the price, right now they're going for right around 200 bucks. It's better than pretty much anything else out there that I've seen and that I've gotten to play around with. So in the end, I really dig it. So there you go. There's the Wyze Vacuum. Dig it. Anyway, so if this video helped you out at all, be sure to give it a great big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button because I've got a lot more cool stuff like this always coming your way on the channel. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think if you're using a Wyze Vacuum or a Roomba or one of the other brands, how your experience has been. And of course, thanks for watching.